Hello and welcome everyone to today's daily quiz. I hope all of you are doing good and you are ready to test your knowledge from the day's current affairs. I have close to 10 questions today to see if you are able to answer these. Let me know in the comment section how many did you score from this quiz. Do share this with your friends as well, and if you're new here, do hit the subscribe button before we begin. Let's start with the first question then and see if you can answer this. The RBI recently flagged rising unhedged foreign currency exposure (UFCE) amongst Indian corporates. Why is UFCE a systemic risk indicator? First, is it because the companies with UFCE automatically default on all the domestic loans? It's a pretty sweeping statement. That does not happen. It makes companies ineligible for external commercial borrowings? Not really. Any rupee depreciation increases repayment burden, potentially straining balance sheet and impairing banking sector asset quality. This is the reason. Because when the companies have a lot of outstanding debt and they have taken the debt in dollars, now that they have to repay. For example, if company A has taken $100 as a debt when rupee was 70 rupees a dollar. Now rupee is close to 90 rupees a dollar. So the same debt when they have to repay, much more than that because of depreciation of rupee. This is why they are at risk. The answer thus here is B. Next, question number 2. A state government issues an executive order altering the criteria for caste-based reservations without any legislative amendment. Which principle determines the validity of such an order? First, executive orders can override laws if issued in public interest. Not really, that's not how executive orders work. Reservation policy is solely an executive domain. No, that is again not how it works. Executive action cannot contravene existing law. It must operate subject to legislation in force. This is correct. The executive action, executive order given by the government cannot override the law. It has to be as per the scope given to the executive to exercise their powers in the law. It cannot go against it. This is where the answer lies. That is statement number B. This is under article number 162, article number 73. Next, question number 3. The latest waterbird census recorded a notable rise in migratory population in Point Calimere region. The Point Calimere is located at the confluence of which two ecosystems? Very interesting. Semi-arid grassland and alpine meadows, tropical rainforest and the shola vegetation, mangroves and the salt marshes, coral reefs and mud flats. At which of these two ecosystems at their confluence point would you see Point Calimere? Point Calimere, as you know, is in Tamil Nadu. It is at the confluence of mangroves and the salt marshes. One of those important areas where you see a lot of migratory birds coming in every single year. It's on the Tamil Nadu coast. It's known for its waterbird migration population. Next is question number 4. India's latest national supercomputing upgrade included deployment of indigenous interconnect fabrics. Why are interconnect fabrics crucial for supercomputers? First, they determine the power factor of processing units. Second, they allow the CPUs to bypass memory units. They enable ultra-fast communication between compute nodes, reducing latency in parallel processing, or they replace the GPUs entirely during deep learning tasks. What is exactly the significance of these indigenous internet fabrics? The answer is this. They enable ultra-fast communication by reducing latency. Latency is the amount of time between when you give the command and when the command is executed. That is the latency level. The lower it is, the higher is the computing power. Is simple language, the higher is the speed. The answer thus is B. It's the node-to-node communication. The less the latency, the better the computing power. Next is question 5. The government has observed a widening gap between mandi prices and retail prices for vegetables. Which scenario best explains this? Why is there a difference between the two? Sharp fall in the post-harvest losses, increased cold storage access, reducing the retail margins. High intermediary markup means high cost by the people in the middle, and transport bottlenecks despite adequate supply. Decline in consumer demand due to dietary shifts. Which of these is the reason for this gap between retail and mandi prices? The answer is C. Because of high intermediary markup, because of which At the mandi, the prices may be lower, but at the retail, the prices become much higher because there's a huge markup in between being imposed by the agents. And that is the answer here, the option number C. I hope you got this right as well. Next is question number 6. India recently supported the creation of a trusted supply chain certification for digital hardware. What is the most likely purpose of such a certification? It allows only domestic companies to import semiconductors? Not really. It prevents any foreign participation in India's tech supply chain? No. Ensures hardware complies with security, provenance, and tamper-resistant standards across borders? Yes. So the idea of certification is to certify that it meets the quality, the checks, whatever you want in a certain product, you want it to meet to that level. That is where the compliance comes in. That is where the certification comes in. The answer thus here will again be B. Moving on to question number 7 then. Recent excavation at Vadnagar revealed expanded evidence of long-distance trade during the early historic period. Which trade route is Vadnagar most commonly associated with? First, is it the Dakshin Path inland route connecting Deccan to Tamilakalam? Second, Western Indian trade corridor linked to Silk route through Bactria. Third, the Kaling Maritime Circuit to Southeast Asia. Or fourth, the Himalayan salt trade passes. Now, if you actually imagine this location of Vadnagar, it's not a difficult question to answer. It is a Western Indian trade route that links to the Silk route through Bactria. This is where Vadnagar in Gujarat is located. Vadnagar is again famous for being the place where Prime Minister Modi spent most of its childhood. Next is question number 8. The Supreme Court uses continuing mandamus in governance cases. What is the hallmark of this doctrine? First, the court issues one-time final order, closes the case. It cannot be continuous if this is the explanation. Court delegate decision-making to the executive entirely? No. The court monitors compliance to periodic directions until outcomes are achieved. This is correct. Mandamus, as you know, is a writ issued by the court to order a government agency or a government servant to do their job properly. Continuing mandamus means keeping an eye on whether this directive is being followed or not. So the answer here is B. Next, question number 9. A government reports a fall in effective revenue deficit. What does this indicate? First, it indicates revenue deficit has doubled. Grants to state for capital creation have increased, reducing the portion of deficit that is purely consumptive. Disinvestment proceeds have been fully spent on salaries. Or fourth, fiscal deficit automatically falls. What is the concept of effective revenue deficit? So basically the government says while calculating the revenue deficit, we should not calculate the money we give to the states for their own health, for their own expenditure. So we should reduce that. And when you reduce that from revenue deficit, you will come to effective revenue deficit. So the answer is basically the government does not want to include the money that they gave to the states. So if grants to the state for capital creation has increased, then there will be a fall in effective revenue deficit. Then we have the last question for the quiz, question number 10. Recent archaeological studies emphasize that early state formation, the Deccan, involved segmentary political structures. Which feature best captures this model? Centralized taxation with no local autonomy, exclusive reliance on metal or weapon elites for political integration, structural ritual sovereignty at the center while peripheral regions retain political autonomy under the local chiefs, or uniform administrative code across the realm. Segmentary political structure. What does it mean exactly? That was involved in Deccan. The answer here is that it involved a ritual or a ceremonial authority that is at the center, while the states will have much more power. So the answer here is B. The sovereign at the center will be just a strong ritual, but most of the powers will be at the state government with the local chiefs. So a true federal structure, as you would like to call it. This was today's quiz, a mix of questions from economics, history, polity, geography, etc. I hope you learned something new today. Do tell me in the comment section how much did you score. If you want this PDF, join my Telegram channel. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Jai Hind.